Very good evening to you. Welcome to the programme. Nobody can pretend these are the best of times for Sheffield Wednesday, but you know the old saying, and it's so very true, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. And we've got a really tough guy, I believe, in the studio tonight, and I'm sure you'll agree after you've heard him over the next hour or so here on Sheffield Live TV. He's a big player in every respect. You have to be a goalkeeper, especially these days. But he's also a big character. Otherwise, I don't think he'd be sitting here tonight, bearing in mind the club's current fortune. So, welcome, Cameron Dawson.
Well,
thank you for coming in. And that's one thing. Well, I'll tell you what, before we even ask you another question, can I see your right hand, please, sir? Can I see your right hand? Everybody wants to see your right hand.
It's fine.
Your right. Just hold it up.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There we are. Just there we are. Apart from that piece of that piece of tape. Oh, that one's okay. And you're going to be playing on Saturday.
I hope so, if selected.
Right, you're fit. Okay, we'll come to that.
I'm ready to go, yes.
We'll come to that injury in a moment, because it's quite interesting how it happened, and it's quite interesting how you then managed to play through the whole game. This was at Blackburn last weekend. But we'll kick off with the fact that, okay, things could be better. I'll say it's 1 win in 8 games to start with and get it out of the way. November Player of the Month, as voted by the supporters. That must mean a fair bit to you personally, I would gather.
Yeah, it was nice. It was, you know, it's always nice to win, you know, win personal accolades, even though it was during a time when the team was struggling a bit, and you know, we weren't picking up many wins, and I was definitely very busy. So, although the fans probably didn't have loads to go at in terms of their votes, you know, it was nice that they picked me, and nice to get it.
As a team man, which I know you are, do you feel almost a little bit guilty? It's very hard to celebrate something, isn't it? It's much better when the team's going well and an accolade comes your way.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I said to you off air through there that you know, I'd love to be sat here on having won loads of games and sat high up in the table and doing great, keeping loads of clean sheets. But you know, unfortunately, that's not been the case, and we've been struggling a bit recently. So yeah, it would have been nice to be playing in a really good team and keeping loads of clean sheets, and maybe staying out of it a bit more, and letting everyone else take all the plaudits, and me just sort of going about my work behind them, and you know, staying out of the radar.
Yeah, for various reasons, you've been very much above the radar, haven't you? You know, all season really. You've generated a lot of publicity, mostly for good. But do you feel that this period of your career in the future is going to really stand you in good stead? Because you've been through the fire, haven't you, this season?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I think it's been great in a way to go through, you know, what I've been through in this season alone, in the 20 games we've played, or I think it's 20 games, is it? To go through that, at such a young age, I feel, you know, I hear people say, oh, it'll ruin him, it's this, that. You know, I look at it the other way and look that, you know, it could end up being the making of me, and you know, it's experiences that I'll hopefully be able to pull on throughout my career. And it's happened at such a young age, and you know, my first full season. So, you know, I'll just look to work through it and you know, take it in my stride, and that's what I'm trying.
Yeah, people look to be protective of youngsters, not least managers, and some fans also have expressed that kind of concern for you. But talking to you, you look the kind of guy who just says, "Bring it on, come what may," and you've got the opportunity, and you're not wanting to relinquish it.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably a fair assessment. I like to think that when my back's against the wall, you know, I can come out fighting, and I can show everyone. And for me, that's what the Sheffield United game was about, and that's what that game was about for me, showing everyone that, you know, what I was about. You know, what I was about as a character and as a person, more so than, you know, what I can do goalkeeping wise. And that's what that game was about for me, and that's why, you know, I was really happy come the full-time whistle for that game to you know, end how it did.
Yeah, because that's when the criticism, which has been sporadic, it's been there and then it's gone away and people have appreciated what you've done. That's when it was at its height, really, wasn't it? There have been 4 successive defeats. I think you'd lost 4-0 at home to Norwich in the previous game to that. So obviously it was extremely big for you. We'll come on to that save in a moment because I've got a couple of images to show you.
Right.
Which,
okay.
You know, following that, which I picked out. But let's just get back to that finger. It was certainly reported last weekend that you got a dislocated finger there in your little finger, isn't it?
Yes.
Your right hand.
Just right little.
Yeah. You're making light of it, and you're fit. You say. Just tell me how you got that injury to start with.
It was when the second goal went in, Blackburn's second goal, and it was, if you look back, all 4 of the goals are majorly preventable, but it was a ball across, and I've sort of gone full length to try and get across my goal and make the save, but in doing that, they've shot low, and me trying to get my hand down, I've just jammed it into the floor, and yeah, it's the little finger one, which a lot of goalies will have suffered with over their careers. So yeah, just a little dislocation of the little finger. And
a little dislocation. Just tell me where the finger was.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, although
it wasn't standing up like that, was it?
No, what I've been told, because I knew it had gone, I could see it pointing out the side of my glove. So when they pulled my glove off, I wasn't interested. I was looking elsewhere. But no, they tell me it was coming out sideways of my hand.
Coming out sideways. Your little finger was sideways.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah.
Just dismissive of it.
Well, there was nothing I could do. It was,
So they put it back in on the field.
Yeah, nearly put it, straightened it back up, and then a bit later on in the game, I was laughing with them after because I made a save, tip one over, and obviously it was agony. So I was screaming, and I squeezed it, and as I squeezed it, it like clicked fully back in. So that was that, and then it was amazing. Then once it clicked fully back in, that a lot of the pain, went away, and it was a lot more comfortable. So that was obviously a positive, and it's meant I've been able to train all week, and
there's no break. Right. There's no break. That's the good thing from it. You'd imagine there must have been a scenario where you could have come off with that sort of injury. Was that in your head, or was it even suggested to you?
I could hear the physios talking down the mic, saying, to get Joe ready, and at that point, I was, the game was tough. We'd made 2 subs at half time. We'd just gone 2-0 down, and I just at that point I just thought, I don't want to leave the game in this situation. So I passed my finger to the physio. I went, get some tape on that, and he strapped it up. Glove went back on, and I said, right, let's go.
Yeah. And there's an element as well. You've got an understudy who's another excellent young goalkeeper in Joe Wildsmith. You're not going to want to lose that place for a reason like an injury, are you?
Yeah, of course. No one wants to lose the place under any circumstances, but if it's something that you feel you can carry on with and you feel you can still perform to the best of your ability, then you've got to stay out there and hang on in there. So that's what I did, and it was just try and stay on and get through it, and fortunately it feels much better now. So ready to go again at the weekend. Okay,
playing at home to Rotherham, a big game as they all seem to be at the moment. It's really about trying to reset a good atmosphere, isn't it, at Hillsborough? You must notice that as players when the atmosphere's good, when it's not good, and obviously it hasn't been good lately, and I presume players have got to hold their hands up for that.
Yeah, of course. Us as players know that we've not been good enough. As a team, we've not been performing well enough. We've been conceding sloppy goals. Massively preventable goals. Looking at the clips back. So we know that as players. We've got a good game on Saturday. Against a very good Rotherham team that that are doing really well. They're taking points off a lot of the top sides in this league. So it'll be a tough game for us Saturday, but at home at Hillsborough, it'll be a good game, and one that we'll be trying to get all 3 points.
Yeah, that could help lift the atmosphere a little bit in your favour. A local derby as well, and that will help. let's hope you have a quiet game this time, because that's what you need most of all, isn't it? Really.
I hope so. Yeah, I did. I did a bit of local press after the Bolton game, which we won 1-0, and it was an ugly performance. It was 3 points, but it was definitely 3 ugly points.
I'd agree. Watching it, it was an ugly game, a horrible game, one of the worst I've seen this season.
I can imagine it wasn't very fun for the people watching.
No.
But after that game, I just said, how nice it was to have a quiet evening, and one where I was just I was a spectator for most of it, and it was nice to have that because I hadn't had that so far in the season. So it was nice to just have a quiet little 1-0 in that game.
Because this stat's been following you around about you having faced, I think, the most shots of any goalkeeper in the Championship. When did you start becoming aware of that?
When everyone kept telling me. It was obviously that, along with the lack of clean sheets, and people were often bringing that up, and it was it's factual. You can't hide away from it. It's they're the stats. I was very aware of it, and that's why when that Sheffield United game did come, I was massively relieved to first of all get that clean sheet, and then follow on. We managed to get our second clean sheet 2 games after, and it was nice that game to just have a bit of a quiet one.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at that. A couple of images from that night at Bramall End. You saved this penalty in the first half from David McGoldrick. It wasn't far into the game, was it? Terrific save down to your left. We'll have a look at the images after I've asked you what was in your mind there. McGoldrick had taken penalties previously and scored. Was it a little bit of pre-preparation where you had an idea where he was going? Did somebody tip you off where he was going? Were you convinced it was going down to your left? What was your mindset there?
I think someone like David McGoldrick has taken penalties all his career, so he's not got one penalty. He's not. You can't just look at his last 4 penalties and he's got to go right. He's gone there every time. So he obviously has a number of different penalties. It was just at that point in that game, I just had a feeling it was going there.
An instinct.
It was that's just pure instinct, and luckily it was right, and managed to get down there and dig it out.
The hardest position, I mean, it wasn't what they call a nice height for a goalkeeper when it's maybe halfway up the goal and you just have to get there. You have to get all the way down. Yeah, but bottom left.
The adrenaline of a Sheffield derby, you can get there, it gets you there. So I got there and fortunately dug it out, and got what was a positive result for us at the time.
Indeed, a strong left hand, and right in front of thousands of Wednesdayites behind that goal, which must have made it even more special for you.
Yeah, of course. That that moment will stay with me for a long time. It'll be a big when I finish playing football, that'll be quite a big moment in my career to look back on. Seeing all the fans behind me go balmy after I kept it out. So yeah, it was definitely a big moment for me.
Just when you needed it the most, I think. And I think a lot of people were delighted for you. I certainly was, because I'd seen, what you've been subjected to, albeit by proxy. Because I think, Kieran Westwood was obviously a popular goalkeeper, brilliant goalkeeper in many games, and. It appeared to compromise your position, the fact that people were clamouring for him to return. How did you feel about all of that?
Yeah, I've come out and said it was tough at the time, and it was. But for me, when you play for a club like Sheffield Wednesday, it's a huge club, and it's a club that should be minimum challenging top end Championship. So for me, when you play for a club like that, there's going to be massive competition for places, firstly, which there is all over the place, and fans. There's 25,000 minimum fans in Hillsborough every week, so all those people have opinions, and unfortunately the results had gone how they'd gone previous, so the fans were probably a bit on edge, and that they sort of felt necessary for that chant, and that's That's absolutely fine. They pay their money. And
they chanted for Sam Hutchinson. They chanted for Kieran Westwood.
It was the Sam Hutchinson one was first, wasn't it? I remember.
Yeah.
I remember being stood there thinking, oh no, I know what's coming next here.
It's you next.
It's me next. So yeah.
But you stood up through that, and what struck me was, having gone to 4-0 down, but for you made a double save and another save. It could have been 6. Somehow you dug that out of yourself. Possibly was that your lowest ebb as Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper, standing there at 4-0 down?
And I think the lowest ebb for me as a Sheffield Wednesday goalkeeper is one where, in the past where I've been down the pecking order. I think when you're standing out there at Hillsborough, you're in a fortunate position. That isn't your lowest ebb. I'm very proud to play for Sheffield Wednesday. So that, I wouldn't say my lowest ebb, but it obviously wasn't nice, and I wanted to show everyone at that point that I was big enough and ugly enough to get on with it, so they say. Yeah,
absolutely, and you certainly did that. And when it comes to bravery, okay, he's not everybody's favourite person among the fan base at the moment, the manager, Jos Luhukay. I'd imagine, though, that you feel a lot of loyalty towards him because he's backed you solidly. It was a brave call. He picked you from the start, and he's kept you in there. How much do you feel towards him?
Yeah, he's been excellent for me, and a lot of the other younger lads. He's been really great for. He's pushed them through, and I think further down the line the club will start to see the benefits from the manager having the bravery to pick the younger players. I think whether it be 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years down the line, the club will see the benefits from that, whether these players go on to have great careers for Sheffield Wednesday or they move on to other things and make Sheffield Wednesday money. So I think further down the line that the club will see massive benefits from what this manager's done.
He's in a period of transition, working between two regimes, and hopefully a more prosperous future. He appears not to let it worry him, trouble him unduly. I don't know how he comes across in the training ground. You see him much more closely.
Yeah, that's very true. He's not a worrier. He doesn't change. He doesn't. You'll have heard of some managers maybe changing when they're under pressure and changing things. That's not the case for us. We do the same things now that we did when we went on that winning streak, and we're looking. We're doing a lot of video work, trying to work out what we need to do to collect those wins. So hopefully that starts again on Saturday, and we can put a little run together. Yeah,
fairly unflappable character who doesn't appear to show passion on the touchline. Does he show that behind the scenes with the players?
Yeah, definitely. When there's something needed to be said, or that he feels the lads need a bit, he'll definitely do that. He doesn't say he's not a big speaker. He doesn't say a lot. So when he does speak, people do listen, and it's sort of that balance between not speaking too much. So when he does speak, the lads listen, and he can get his point across.
Okay. Well, just a minute and 3/4 to the break. So those images from the Sheffield derby, we're going to save those for part 2 when James Gregg. Have you ever heard of James Gregg?
Oh no, Greggy's here, is he?
Yeah. Well, sorry. He's going to join us in part 2, and we will have a look at those images because one of them quite tickled me, honestly, when I looked at it today. But between now and the break, the life of a goalkeeper never better demonstrated than last weekend on the opposite side of Sheffield. Dean Henderson on loan with Sheffield United from Manchester United, absolutely outstanding. Had a horrific moment, didn't he, in the game against Leeds? You must have seen that.
Yeah, no, I've seen that, and I've known Dino since we were both young. We went on a couple of training camps together, so I've known Dino a long time, and he's definitely a big enough character to get on with that. He's a big believer in his own ability, and he'll move on from that quickly, and I think he's been excellent for Sheffield United this season. So
do you know, he ran from the field with his head held high. He didn't just slink away. He ran from the field with his head held high, receiving a standing ovation brilliant from the supporters as well, because they know what.
Yeah, they know
what he's like.
They know the good he's done for them this year, and they probably owed him that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the Wednesday fans too, I don't think most of them aimed it at you when they were chanting for Kieran Westwood. Is that the way you feel it too.
Yeah, I don't think it was directly aimed at me, but
No.
you know, at that point, you know, it was me on the pitch, so I'm going to, of course, get a little bit of that. But you know, that's how it is.
Plenty more where this came from. James will join us. Do rejoin us in 5, part 2. See you then.